Good evening, this is Bruce, and welcome to my shop again. We've got a few things on tonight, Saturday night. The first one is Toby's dilemma and how not to go nuts when your nuts are stuck. And this is an alternative to heat. Toby's got an issue, and I'll just pan out and we'll have a look at what this problem that Toby has that he put on Facebook, and we had a bit of a discussion about it. So here I am. Hopefully you can see me okay. Toby's problem is that he's got an arbor with a cutter on it, and you can see that okay. Yeah, he's got an arbor with a cutter on it, and he couldn't undo the nut. Now these arbors are all my arbors, for instance, are all left-hand thread. Keith Fenner was mentioning in this same Haji Baji that we had backwards and forwards that all his are right-hand thread, and he suggested to Toby to check the flute here to see the flight, to see which way and if he can work it out. There's lots of suggestions went backwards and forwards, and most of them bounded around heat, which Toby hasn't really got the wherewith to do that. And I don't believe in heat. I try to do anything I can not to use heat. Now there's a number of ways that I use for different getter outs that I do, and I use different products like these are two products, but there are many more out there. This is a freeze and release by Loctite, and this one's by Worth Rostov Ice, and that comes out about 30-40 degrees C below thing. But there's all sorts of ways of getting out, and if you don't care for the nut, you can split it. If you can get a good solid hole to it, you can split that nut with a chisel. You can heat it up, as we said. That's another item. But what I prefer to do when I've got a situation like this is to shock open it. And in these cases here, it'll just be somebody's tightened up very tight, may have shrunk up a little bit and so forth. So the method that I use, let's say we've got a nut. This is for Toby in particular. We've got this nut, and I'll just put that down there, and we'll pan in a bit and see if we can see this a little bit better without that background interfering too much. And I'll endeavour to show you what I think. So the method I like to use, and it doesn't matter whether you use a hammer or you use a block of steel, but the idea is to shock open the nut. And this one here is a right-hand nut, and what you need to do is to have something really solid behind, preferably with a flat surface, but it can be a hammer, a decent heavy hammer, and with another hammer to strike the flat slightly off the flat to be able to open it up. So if I were to hold that straight and to hit it here, that will spin off that nut. And the same he can do here with this one. You'll be able to put something in behind it and strike it. And so you can use a piece of steel or whatever. And what you're doing, we'll see if we can get in close here. What we're trying to do is to strike that flat just off in the direction we want to open it. We just strike it there, but holding a good solid weight on the other side. That helps us to put all the effort into breaking that thread, breaking that lock on the thread. And quite often, and especially in like a tool like Toby's got with this arbor, that's all it will require to break it, and that can be equivalent. A good knock will be equivalent to having a very long bar and trying to break that. I used this method a long time ago for getting bolts off truck wheels and things like that, where the nuts or the studs they just could not remove it, couldn't move it. We couldn't apply heat, and so I would do that and shock them and work them and then spin those nuts off. So that's this little video here is for Toby, and as I say, I don't like applying heat. I don't like using heat to any of my thread repairs, anything else. In fact, quite often part of the problem that comes to me is that people have applied heat and have done damage, because it's extremely difficult to apply very pointed heat with the normal shop tools without something, without putting in heat resistant paste around it and all these things that people don't normally have. And so the heat goes everywhere but where you really want it to be, and you've got to work quickly with it, and your window of opportunity is quite small. Whereas with this method here, and I could say in 50 odd years of working on steel in particular, it works a dream. When you're getting into aluminium and it's been calcinated and all that, that's a different story. But for the normal shop, I suggest this method for Toby.